Made with a perfectly spiced sauce and tender chuck roast, Instant Pot Beef Barbacoa is a sped-up version of a classic recipe made fast thanks to our Instant Pot. Hi everyone, Kristen here. As someone who suffers from a chronic disease, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. Today I'm sharing with you an unauthentic yet authentic tasting recipe for beef barbacoa. Instead of simmering beef cheeks for hours and hours and hours, we're gonna turn a chuck roast into the most delicious, melt in your mouth, tender, shredded Mexican beef. So let's get cooking. To get started, turn your Instant Pot to saute and then add in a bit of oil and let that heat. While our oil is heating, let's talk about our chuck roast. I have about 3 pounds of chuck roast here that I've cubed into 2 to 3 inch pieces that I'm seasoning with salt and pepper. Cutting our chuck roast into cubes is really going to let it tenderize as it pressure cooks, and it's also going to provide more surface area for the meat to absorb the delicious sauce we're gonna make here in a minute. We're gonna add our beef to our inner pot. While our beef is browning, let's talk about the barbacoa sauce. This sauce is crazy, crazy good, but it does have a lot of ingredients. Thankfully, most of them are ones you probably already have on hand. To a blender, pour in 1 cup of low sodium beef broth. Add 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, a 4-ounce can of diced green chilies, 4 cloves of garlic, 2 chipotles in adobo sauce, 1 chopped onion, 1 tablespoon oregano, 1 tablespoon cumin, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of pepper, and finally 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. Sounds odd, but trust me on that ingredient. Blend that up until it's nice and smooth and the onions and chilies are all broken down. And at this point, our beef is looking nice and brown, so I'm gonna remove it to a plate here and turn off the saute function on the Instant Pot. Just like any Instant Pot recipe that calls for browning up meat or vegetables, we must deglaze our inner pot before proceeding with the recipe so that we can prevent a burn notice. To do this, I'm pouring in 1/2 cup of light beer. If you don't drink beer, you could certainly use beef broth here, but I love the happiness that the beer adds to this recipe. And then you wanna grab a wooden spoon or spatula of some sort, and you wanna scrape up all those brown bits on the bottom of the inner pot. Add our meat back to our inner pot. Pour the blended sauce over the meat mixture and add in 2 bay leaves. At this point, we're ready to cook. Pop the lid on our Instant Pot. Make sure our vent knob is pointed towards sealed. And to set cooking time, we're gonna cook on high pressure for 60 minutes. This recipe really does need that length of time so that the chuck roast becomes like butter. It just falls apart. To set cooking time, hit manual or pressure cook. Use the plus or minus buttons and adjust until it reads 60. Once the cooking time has elapsed, let pressure release on its own for at least 10 to 15 minutes. That way the meat won't seize up and you'll be left with really tender meat. Once the pressure has been released, open up the Instant Pot. Oh my word, it smells so good in here. We're gonna give our meat a stir here. Remove those bay leaves as you come across them. Shred the meat using 2 forks and stir back into the cooking liquid. All right, this meat, it's perfect right now, but I have 1 additional ingredient that's really gonna take it over the top. Adding the juice of a fresh lime, and then I'm just gonna stir that in. That acidity from the lime juice is really gonna wake up all the flavors in the sauce and just add a nice acidic finish. Now at this point, our beef is ready to serve, and it is delicious in a variety of ways. It's great in enchiladas, it's great on a taco salad, it's great in taco shells or served on tortillas. Or how I plan to serve it today is to make up some Instant Pot Spanish rice and serve this beef over the rice with the sauce. And I'm gonna show you how to make that rice in my next video. Until then, happy cooking.